sharpness of winning and losing just comes more to the fore when you get into the knockout stage, which it is now for all 6 teams. The agony and the ecstasy.
Our guys will go away with a scar there that's a pretty big one. It'll heal, but it hurts at the moment.
I sat here this exact table this time last year, heartbroken by the loss and the missed opportunity of what could have been. And I think everyone had a level of pain and understanding that getting that far is really difficult.
It's hard, I reckon. At the moment, you sort of look at the game, you're just so incredibly disappointed. You know, a whole heap of fans here, a whole lot of support, and you sort of feel like you've disappointed them.
It was a great response after last week. They keep responding, this group.
We always get a recency bias. What happened last weekend is always such a big issue, but it has little to do with what's going to happen next weekend.
All gas, no brakes. He's run a bit light on. Might have used all their gas last week. It looks that way, doesn't it?
Lyman, no hair, absolutely no worries in front of the big sticks. Gives the ball bombs a rub.
Party time now.
Brisbane are still the kings of Queensland football. They are into yet another preliminary final.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of the group. You know, it's hard to make finals after you win a premiership, let alone get back to a preliminary final.
It is so abrupt. The finish is so abrupt. I am nowhere near ready for the season to be over in 5 days' time.
This is what you asked for.
33 points up against a side who's kicked 31 points for the game. It's just about out of control.
To seal a famous Hawthorn finals victory.
And now it's to a blockbuster preliminary final against Geelong. Talk about ancient grudge.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown.
It's pretty exciting time to be a Hawks fan and to be the Hawks coach or a Hawks player or a Hawks staff member. And I think everyone goes into work Monday pretty optimistic and hopeful of what we can achieve. But the prelim weekend is not the aim.
You know, we're just playing match play right now. Now we don't know who our next match play is against. But I know one thing, that next time we play, there's only 4 teams left.
The billing has taken shape and the Brisbane Lions and the Hawks to be a part of that. So Geelong and Hawthorn on Friday night at the MCG. Storied rivalry. And then the protagonists from one of the great grand finals 2 years ago meet again. The Lions first. Talk about marking your territory, which is what they did on Saturday night.
Well, just look at those 4 teams. God, they've been great footy sides over a long journey, and that sort of sums up what we're about. You'll hear us talk as commentators about, it looks like a sort of a game, and as this game started, after the first 2 goals that went Gold Coast way, it just looked like a Brisbane Lions kind of game, and that's to the credit of the whole team. And that man there, Chris Fagan, and their role players within it. So, I mean, I can look through the numbers. 100-plus marks for Brisbane is a benchmark. They took 90 against Geelong, lost. They're back to 115 marks. Their clearance domination was there. They're plus 18 clearance, plus 6 centre bounce. And then all the names you're ticking off, Rayner, Ashcroft, McCluggage is back doing what McCluggage should be doing. Berry was great. So Ben King kicked the first 2 goals of the game, and then they roll Harris over him, and just that was the end of the story from that point of view. And then Josh Dunkley goes to Rowell and does his job. Zorko starts picking off kicks through the middle of the ground that no one even thinks about, let alone attempts. And they were just over the fingernails, and then they're away, and it just kind of it was like a puzzle that was slowly coming together, and then it just went clunk. And by that stage, 53 points later, game over. No shame in it from a Gold Coast Suns point of view. They'd come to the end of a fantastic journey for them, whereas this team, they're not near the end. They're just sort of getting back into business, and it just reminded us how much depth there is through the middle of the ground, Gerard, which is going to be their strength, and they're going to need a little bit of luck up forward, and Lohman looked dangerous again, and Rayner looked at his imposing best. Their back half solid enough, so that's the way I read it. What about you?
Heart, fight and pride.
Yeah.
They weren't ready to fold their premiership defence. So they've had every reason across a couple of months just to start to have the back broken. And each time they have been challenged by it, they've said, nah, we're not done yet. So now to the MCG, to big stages. They're doing it with that. It's a little bit makeshift as well as the depth that you've mentioned, but not to concede to the crosstown rival and not to fold what is a big premiership defence.
They're not folding anything, Brisbane, which makes Saturday night or Saturday twilight unbelievably anticipated.
Hawthorn, just compelling and complete what they have going on at the moment.
Yeah, I just got consistently know what we're going to get from them. And when you get to that stage as a team, you know you've got a bloody good footy side. And so you can trust them to come out and serve up what they served up. And so from the middle of the ground to Gunston, who consistently doing it, McNewcombe's consistently doing it, with support cast, by the way. And that's the other thing. You know, they're tough. They're in tune. They know what each other is required of each other at any given time. They're balanced and even, and they're playing their role. So, you know, you go to Ward in the middle of the ground. So you go, OK, are they a bit skinny and a bit light on through the middle of the ground? Well, no, because Ward comes in and plays arguably one of his best games. Their back half's really, really settled. It's going to be hard to score against them, and they're doing stuff in the front that you just wouldn't have expected at the start of the year. So they're in a good place. When you get to that stage as a footy club and you go, I don't know, win or lose, but I know what I'm going to get from them, that's where they're at, the Hawthorn footy.
That back seven, so Barras and Battle are doing exactly what they brought them in to do, so they're the additions.
Yep.
Scrimshaw and Sicily are still intercepting everything. Hardwick's just impossible to get past. Eamon and Impia are running like few others, and then you've got Whateley, who's doing all sorts of bits and pieces. What a wild card he has been to add late to the puzzle.
Yeah, and just gets better and better. You know, there's a little recipe there that if he, you know, he's only had 2 games back now, but if he starts to look a little bit weary, just throw him forward. Let him do dangerous thing down there. He's a damn dangerous wingman when he's in the goal square.
They have shared 14 of the past 24 premierships, these 4 teams.
If he plays on Ollie Dempsey, they'll both be in opposite end of the goal square. They won't see each other.
I rather like that. So the losers, and they were totally different in character.
Yeah.
Adelaide have gone out in straight sets. They played both finals at home. They didn't win a single quarter.
Great home and away team, terrible finals team, and they've got to live with that. That's just the reality of life. Finish on top of the ladder, it says you're a great home and away team. You go out in straight sets and you don't win a quarter, it says you're a horrible finals team. You know, I was over there a little bit earlier than you and, say, reading paper, talking to people. I thought this is not within the Adelaide walls, but the town itself, to me, were preparing for failure. There was a preparedness for it. There was excuse, mate. Oh, you know, we finished on top. Even if we go out, it'll be a good effort. Oh, yeah, but we haven't got to age that rank. And he's going to... And I'm just thinking, gee, that's not the attitude you want. You know, you think, is there going to be a response? And then I watch this. So we sit ourselves down for the first passage of play of the game. What's the response? Get inside the jumper, be ferocious, don't concede anything. And then Keane just lets Gunston go. Jason called it. Look at him. This is the first play of the game, Gerard. That is horrible. And that summed up Mark Keane's back half or back few games. I think he got ahead of himself, Mark Keane. Forgot to do what made him one of the best defenders in the... Yeah. So all week you're living... We're not, you know, the criticism that come at you, we're not finals ready, our intensity isn't right. That's what you're living. And the very first play, Mark Keane just lets Jack Gunston wander up and just stands in the goal square doing nothing. Horrible sign. And from that, they did gather themselves. They gave up the 3 goals. They got 3 back, but then it was just chasing tail. So they weren't ready for finals footy. That's what all those other teams you talked about, Brisbane and Hawthorn, intensity. Collingwood, intensity. Geelong, they pressured the hell out of Brisbane in that first final. They were a mile off it, the Crows. So that's what they've got to live with over summer. And if you reckon that's harsh, bad luck. You can't do anything about it until next September.
It's an interesting introspective piece. Is 18 wins, so how do you rationalise that? Big failure at the end. They became very unbalanced, I think, on the field, in the coach's box and the club more broadly. Clearly the Isaac Rankin moment is a flashpoint to be reflected upon and all the actions that came afterwards, and only they'll know internally when they think about it all. But what to do? So how do you find your proportional response? Will it be different next year if they make their necessary improvement and present again for the assignment, or not? These are difficult ones. There's a couple of glaring holes in their list, which were probably suspected, and they get flushed out completely in September. How do you go about filling those? Do you have internal pieces that you can train up to that? Do you have to bring something in? Not the easiest post-mortem to run, I don't think.
I think they'll get another shot at it because they are very good home and away team, and that is they'll put paid to most of the bottom half of the oppositions, which should allow them to get another crack at it. But gee, it's going to be a long summer.
Gold Coast, so the coming of age moments that they had, they've paid their rite of passage through the past few weeks.
Easy for us to shrug and nod our head and go, yeah, great effort. But I suspect that Damien Hardwick will take a much sterner line than that with this group. That if any of them have a sense that we've had a successful year, I reckon he'll tramp on that and tread on that really aggressively, because, you know, we can say it, but I don't reckon the club need to stand for that.
Yep.
There's no reason to pat themselves on the back. They've got to get some support up in the front half. Ethan Reid had a really disappointing, didn't score in 2 finals, was subbed off in the second. Farah was played ahead of Walter for reasons that we know, but he's not a goal scorer. So you sit on King and you do a number on King, you sit on Rao, you do a number on one of either he or Anderson, and you're halfway there, I reckon. So they need some, well, they might say Reid and Walter with natural development will be that support for King, but they need some numbers through the midfield. They need some support through the middle of the ground. So big step, big step for the Gold Coast Suns. We can say it. I think that's a successful year, but I don't reckon Damien Hardwick will be treading that line.
So I'm a bit like you. What does their forward line look like when they are ready to contend? Is that next year? Is Jamie Elliott part of it? Is Charlie Curnow part of it? The questions were rightly asked at the press conference in the aftermath, and I think in the days thereafter you began. So natural progress, which I think, or do we hypercharge it and try to rush into it next year?
Yeah, get aggressive. I would get aggressive. They've got plenty of picks to work with, and they've got some talent that might be expendable. So go, get aggressive.